All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning. I think everything is good to go. Please go ahead and let me know if you have any kind of audio or video issues. Also, if someone is going to be here for the entire duration, or at least most of it, then I will make you a moderator if you don't mind. So just go ahead and let me know that. Wow, there's such a large amount of time before when my video encoder actually says that we've started streaming and when but when it actually is. So in other words, you guys see me like sitting there staring at the screen for like 10 seconds. It's kind of weird, right? I think it's weird. But anywho, great. Looks like everything's good to go. And I noticed that someone says we're starting an hour ahead of schedule, and that someone else in the beginning said an hour earlier this week for some of us. I assume summertime started last weekend in the U.S. Yeah, so daylight savings time, as usual, is screwing everyone up that's not us, and it screws us up too. I am for abolishing it altogether, but yes, it is actually noon here now, whereas last week it would be 11 at this time. So don't worry, everything's okay. But okay, Chris, I'm going to make you a mod here. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And let's go ahead and start getting through the questions. Well, actually, I recently started going, start with an update. So we'll cover that first. So I personally had like one of the worst weeks of my life. Just horrifically bad from like Tuesday night on. Just really awful. So bad that I've actually kind of walked around in a fugue state for the remainder of the week. Like wondering what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, that kind of thing. So, and then as you might be able to tell, I got sick. I actually posted this on Facebook that this was not a done deal. I might not have done a Q&A today because last night I was really sick. But I'm okay now. I've got a stuffy nose and I feel like crap, and I'm going to cancel my game night, but just in case, because I could see this getting worse later on. But the thing is, that actually would have been good news, just to show you how my week went, because I had big plans next weekend, and I get paranoid that I'm going to get sick whenever I'm in the middle of doing something fun, and I was like, so I would have been happy to be sick right now to get it out of the way, but everything went to hell. So, but now, while I'm personally doing horrifically bad, the channel I think is fine. I didn't do many reviews this week, just because of what happens in my life, but I have more coming up. As a matter of fact, here, let me go ahead and show you. Go to my other feed and show you that this is going to get done today, finally. I should have got it done earlier in the week. That is the expansion to Level 7 Omega Protocol. So we are going to go ahead and get that done for you. I am also going to finally have the review for Besieged and for its expansion, Darkness and Fury. I think that's the name of it. Fury and Darkness. I always forget. And that may be super late tonight, but more likely tomorrow. But it will get done before the weekend is over, I promise you. As well as a top 10 solo games list, I promise it will be tomorrow. It will get done. And any free time I have between then and now is going to be putting together miniatures for 3 different games, possibly 4 different games. But chances are I won't even get one of them done, so because it's miniatures. Meanwhile, I'll be binge watching Daredevil. So. But let's go ahead and get to the questions. There was a couple questions that got eaten by YouTube when I checked in earlier, so we'll cover those first. Serious question: what is a board game, speaking of which, that you recommend for miniatures fans? Genre can be any setting. For miniatures fans, well, the games of Cool Mini or Not are usually very good for that. I mean, depends on what you, and if that is the case, then it just depends on what you like, because as a miniatures fan, if you like tactilely moving them around, if you like modeling them as far as just painting them but not necessarily putting them together, the Cool Mini or Not miniatures are really high quality, and you have a lot of options there. You know, I haven't played it personally, but it comes highly recommended. The game Rivet Wars is a very light one-on-one, I think, war game. Very light war game. You have Zombicide, which is a cooperative experience, very very light, even lighter, I think, than Rivet Wars. You have Arcadia Quest, which is a fun PvP game. So yeah, I know that in recent weeks I've really sounded like a Cool Me or Not fanboy. I don't mean to be. I'm not really obsessed with that company or anything, and they've actually produced some games I don't like a lot. But for board game miniatures, they've really carved out a sizable niche for themselves, and are dominating that sector. So I'm quite happy with what they've done, and I think that would be a good place to start. But if you really want to do the modeling part, the games of Games Workshop, the board games of Games Workshop, have been fine. I wasn't a huge fan of Assassinorum Execution Force, but it was still okay. Space Hulk is still great. I think it's still in print. The two new ones look really good, and they've got good reviews. I just haven't reviewed them yet or played them. Betrayal at Calth and the new Horus Heresy game. I'm sorry, that is the same thing. The other one is Death Watch Overkill. That's one that just came out. Excuse me. Yes, I am sick, so you're going to see me doing gross things. Sorry. Can't really be helped. Sorry about that. So yeah, I would start there. Next question. Yeah, okay, well now we're back into... There wasn't any other questions that got eaten. Sorry about that. In your opinion, has any exciting or important news come out of Gamma? I've been keeping up with Eric Martin's news reports, and I have to say, no. Nothing has really been like, oh my god! I mean, I don't know that Gamma is really known for that. Gamma is known for having some announcements that actually come out at Gen Con, but even Gen Con, I think, has more announcements for the future. Or Origins. But there's been a few that seemed okay. There's an expansion for Imperial Settlers. That's good news, but I think it's like a small expansion, like the Why Can't We Be Friends expansion, so I'm not like excited about it. It's just like, oh, okay, cool, I'll get that. Was there anything else I even cared about that much? IDW's got a bunch of crap coming out. That's probably garbage. I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on a company. I have nothing personal against IDW, but man, every game of theirs I play is mediocre to awful. So when I see a bunch of announcements from them at Gamma, a yawn is the best thing that can be elicited from me. So, sorry, I just turned my phone off. So, I don't know. I haven't been impressed so far, but is it over? Yeah, I guess it's over now, right? The Widower's Wood Kickstarter closes in a few hours. I realize Undercity underwhelmed you. No pun intended. What are your general impressions on Privateer Press, I think you mean, since this is their first Kickstarter project? Thanks, Nick. You're welcome. I like Privateer Press a lot. I still maintain that High Command is a great deck-building game, but I may be the last man on the Bastion waving the flag on that one. It's funny, even I haven't played it in a while. And I like the universes that they've built, the War Machine and Hordes. So I would be excited, except, as you mentioned, the Undercity, which is what this system is. This is like the Hordes version of Undercity, I think. Undercity was just very underwhelming. Like you said, it was just okay. It felt like a game that would have been amazing 6 years ago. And now it's just, there's so many better options. Like, why would I play that over, say, Descent? I mean, Descent needs one player until you get the new app, but and one player to be the Overlord, but still, same genre, same feeling. And so now this new one, I haven't looked in depth at it. I haven't looked at the new game mechanics, if there are any. I haven't looked at all of the differences. I've just glanced at the page. It looks like it's got great miniatures. I never complained about the miniatures. It looks like they finally got the map tiles looking right. Excuse me. So that stuff looks fine, but I don't know. I probably didn't emphasize this enough in my review. I really disliked the way that the enemies were handled with the color coding system and all that. But I am hopeful. I don't think I'm going to back this one, but God, I look gross when I use my tissue. I'm sorry, peeps. But we'll see. Hey Nick, how's your girlfriend doing? Hope she's recovering quickly from the car accident. As far as I know, she is doing well and everything is fine, but I don't know all the details because we're no longer together. So there's that. Nick, I apologize again for last week. You and Rob Oren are my favorite reviewers. There's nothing to apologize for. I sometimes get peeved off when certain things are poked, so don't take it too personally. Thank you for watching. Any chance of Roman Bones getting a review? Thanks for not banning me yet. Keep that up. No. Yes, eventually. I'm sorry. I've owned it for quite a long time, and I just haven't gotten to it, but I will. Have you started on season 2 of Daredevil? Yes, I plan on. I'm actually episode 2 is on my TV screen now. I had to pause it to come over here. See what I gave up for you guys? No, I'm halfway through it. Yeah, I'm excited to watch the rest of it. I'm hoping that it stays good. As I don't know if I'm maybe one of a few people that thinks this, but I'm lisping. At the end of season 1 of Daredevil, it turned to crap. The last 2 episodes, maybe even the last 3 episodes of that first season were not good. Not good. But the first 6 or 7 episodes, or 6 to 8 episodes, or 1 to 8 episodes were amazing. Really amazing. So I'm hoping that this whole season can maintain that level of quality. The first episode I watched was okay of this new season. Not bad, but it still has some of the problems. I'm not giving any spoilers away here, but it still has some of the problems I didn't like about the first season. Mainly the 2 other people at Nelson and Murdoch. I cannot stand Foggy at all, and I like. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name here, and that's kind of the problem. The other, the woman who works with them in their office is so I don't know what her purpose is. I feel like they've given her no agency in the show to really do anything other than be the constantly distraught person keeping the 2 of them together, the other 2 people together, which is kind of especially when you see all these other strong female characters they've introduced to the Marvel TV and movie universe. It's kind of this. She stands out as a problem, and that's sad because I think she's a fine actress, but they don't give her anything to do, and I hope that changes in this season. We'll see. But I am excited to see Elektra eventually. I just saw her in the previews. She's not shown up in the show yet from where I am. But I'm excited. I will watch the whole thing. There's a lot of stuff I want to watch while I'm putting together miniatures. Did I lose one here? Here we go. Hi, Nick. Do you have a favorite edition of Lost Legacy? Well, I still have that whole Lost Legacy Legend box I haven't played through. It's got 8 to 10 different decks. So I haven't played those. I can't speak to those. But of the ones that I have played, I can't remember which is which. But the last set that they put out, there was one that's got the dragon and the princess or something like that. Those are really good. I don't know if those have come out with the AEG ones yet. I have the original Japanese ones, so I'm not bragging. I just do. Where are your go-to places to get import games? Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's my amazing sponsor, Board Game Bliss. And yes, I'm plugging them, but I'm also telling the truth. If I want a game that is only been released in Europe, that's my go-to place to get it. And they usually have a very good selection. They don't always have great quantity because it is hard to get those things and import them even to Canada, or especially to Canada. But they always have hidden gems whoa, I didn't even know that game existed because it's never been released over here. So that's a good place to start. I think it's not just as someone who's being sponsored by them, but as a gamer who cares about you guys, I would recommend Board Game Bliss. So I know that you said you don't like Agricola, but will you give it another chance when a new edition comes out? You're probably referring to they're coming out with a new edition. They're also coming out with a baby version. Not baby version, but a family version. I don't care about that. Would I give the new edition a chance? I don't know, because from what I can tell, the major change, and I might be wrong about this, so just disregard if I am, but one of the major changes, or the thing that everyone was talking about, was that Uwe Rosenberg, the designer, basically modified the cards that you draft, the what do they call them? The improvements, I think, that you draft in the beginning, by picking and choosing from the different expansions and the championship cards or something like that, and sort of making a super drafting deck and balancing it more, because a lot of people say that that's the worst thing about Agricola, potentially, that you could have a bad draft in some games. But I never had a huge issue with that. That wasn't my problem with Agricola the couple of times that I played it. I just felt that it was kind of dull. So I don't know. If there's any other major changes that are going to change that, maybe I'll consider it. I'm curious. There's a guy in my group, or there's a few people in my group who really love Agricola, but there's one person who brings it all the time. and I wonder if he would even bother to get the new edition. If he does, I would play it. Sorry. With Bloodborne announced, are you at all worried that the board game community might become poisoned by the video game community? You know, I've heard of Bloodborne, the video game. I had no idea there was a board game announced for it. Huh. But I left that scene a few years ago. It's horrendous. I'm all for more people playing and enjoying board games. I just hope the board game community stays strong. I'm not too worried about that. I am worried about mediocre games being put out based on video games, although that hasn't really happened either. Some of them have been fine. Mega Man was bad, but not like horrendously bad, like why was this made? No, I'm not worried about that. The thing about it is you might get a video gamer to play a game just because of its license. That will probably happen. But I think even for Bloodborne fans of the video game, they're going to be like, well, it's still a board game. I'm not going to bother with that. The people that are inclined, who are fans of both, who make the switch, they cross the aisle, so to speak, and to get political again, and decide to play the board game version, I think would be people that are more inclined to behave themselves. Because I think what you're referring to is the general tone and tenor and rancor that has been present in the video game community for years now, which I also despise, and it's one of the reasons why I'm not sorry. I'm not really a part of that community as it is now. But I don't think that would make the cross for people who would be willing to sit down and actually communicate with people and cooperate with people, whatever that game is. It might not be cooperative, but you have to have, even in a competitive game, you have to be willing to work with people and maintain a good conversation and rapport with people. And even if they don't come into it with that mindset, I think the board games bring that out of people. It's one of the things I like about this hobby. One of the things I love about this hobby is that the interactions you have with people. So I don't know. I don't think it could poison people. I think it could potentially be a great thing. If you could create and star in a TV show, what would you make it about? I don't know. That's a very broad question. I'd probably find I'd probably make like an anime that I've always wanted to see as like a live action show that I think would actually do well as a live action show. Now that they've made some goofy shows like The Flash and Arrow and Daredevil actually tenable as good TV shows for the most part, that's all subjective. But since that's possible, you could see things like The Guyver being made as a live action TV show and actually being okay. Although maybe rubber suit monsters are never okay. Who knows? Hey Nick, when will you be back on the Love Prowl? Not anytime soon. Hola from Mexico. Hola. Hey Nick, what's your favorite Dexterity flicking game? Do you own some or a lot of those? Catacombs, Flick 'em Up, Tumbling Dice. I have Flick 'em Up. I like that game a lot. It barely made it into my top 100 list last year. I haven't really played it much, so I don't know if that'll be the case again this year. I played Tumbling Dice during one of the Dice Tower marathons. I watched people play it, that's right. But I didn't really care for it. I'm like, whatever. So I've never been inclined to get my own copy of it or play it again. I have Catacombs and haven't played it. That one I think might make me a real fan, but I'm not particularly... I also played Pitch Car, and I played Mass Pitch Car with tons of people. It was just too long. But I don't know. I can't say I'm a huge fan of the genre, but I like some games. Excuse me. Hello from Kuwait. Hello. I always like to hear from international people, especially from countries I don't really hear from very often. Any thoughts on the Darklight Memento Mori on Kickstarter? Someone mentioned that to me. Someone emailed me and asked me, or something like that, if that was worth it. They also asked, like, would you, what was the question exactly? Would this be since I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on Kingdom Death Monster, would this be an appropriate replacement? And I just took a glance at the Kickstarter page and said no. And not to be like constantly beating the war drums for Kingdom Death Monster, but he asked me the honest question. And the problem is, Memento Mori just looks like a Hero Quest homage, to say it nicely, because I don't know, maybe the game is amazing. I don't know that much about it, but it just looks like another Hero Quest homage, and that's not what Kingdom Death Monster is. Kingdom Death Monster is a much more expansive thing, and it's fully cooperative. Excuse me, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed. Nothing from Gamma. The Godfather from Eric Lang. Yes, but I'm not really like incredibly partial to the Godfather theme. I've got the one from IDW sitting there, but it looks like a terrible werewolf ripoff. So I'll get to it eventually. But I don't know. I'm not like super terribly excited about it. I like Eric Lang a lot though, so maybe that will bridge the gap between my interest and me actually playing it. I like Eric Lang's work a lot. How do U.S. politics work? I don't quite understand what's going on at the moment. Join the club. Nobody does. And people who do claim to understand and make predictions are being very wrong lately. It's, you could say that this has been coming for a very long time. Since the history of our democracy, you could say that this type of thing has been building up as the wheels slowly fly off of the train that is the United States government. And the country as a whole. I don't know specifically what you're referring to, but I can say that everyone's fed up with the establishment. Everyone. And on both sides, by the way. The reason why Bernie Sanders, and I understand that Bernie Sanders is doing very poorly right now, and that he has a very, very, very slim chance of winning the nomination at this point. I sincerely hope that he does. He is the one that I am endorsing and backing, if my endorsement means anything. But the reason why bear in mind, as poorly as you think he's doing now, the fact that he even got to this point is astounding. And the fact that Donald Trump is cleaning up even more over on the Republican side, these two things are showing people that everyone's fed up with the way that the system as it is. People are fed up with money in politics. People are fed up with just the same crap over and over again and nothing changing. I can make a strong argument that if we get Hillary Clinton in, yes, it would be better than a Donald Trump, but nothing will change. We'll just be stuck in neutral slowly. As the Young Turks put it, one of their analogies, Cenk Uygur, we're still going towards a cliff. We're just sort of now, if we were to get her, we'd just sort of slowly slide towards it. So I think that people are incredibly infuriated that nothing is happening. Nothing is changing. The changes that we have are so incremental and slow, especially compared to the rest of the world, that we're just kind of fed up with it. So I think that as a whole broad explanation is kind of explaining the shit show that our politics have become at this point. And people from the establishment of both sides desperately clutching to power as much as they possibly can. It's a Game of Thrones over here is basically what's happening. Do you foresee a company like Cool Mini or Not, or the company that did Kingdom Death, which is called Kingdom Death? Not very original, I know. Releasing 3D printable files, maybe as a stretch goal or just as something you can buy. Maybe not on their new games, but older titles. No. Sorry, let me just be blunt. No. If that were the case, we're so far off from that. But right now, 3D printers are still too expensive, too hard to get, too hard to use. The ink's too much. The cartridges that you have to buy for it, which, coming from printing and working on large format printers at my latest job, I know that the ink is what is really going to screw you. Maybe 3D printer is not as comparable, but it's usually pretty bad. And it's just too much of a pain in the ass. People just don't want to deal with it. And so for all the money that you would spend and all the time you would spend, that's one of the reasons Cool Mini or Not has flourished, is also because people don't want to spend the time to put miniatures together, let alone print them themselves. Although that would be easier than putting them together, I argue. But still, it's just too much of a pain. And they realize that. And they realize that they can make more money by just doing that now. And the reason they can make more money is because people are willing to spend that money. Now, it's not to say that your idea is a bad idea, and I've heard that from other people before, but I think that what's more likely to happen is that they'll do it as like a little side thing. And say like, hey, here's some alternate sculpts. I could see larger miniatures companies that place their focus on miniatures. Not that Cool Mini or Not doesn't, but Cool Mini or Not makes board games now. And they've kind of, I think they've kind of abandoned just doing straight up miniatures games. The last one was Wrath of Kings, right? Which no one's talking about or playing. But a company like, I wouldn't say Games Workshop would ever do this because you know them. But maybe like Privateer Press, I could see them more likely to do that type of thing, especially since their miniature quality for their board games isn't, I like it, but the material they use, like the rubber, is very different than the type of thing you would expect from a 3D printer. Sorry. Can you have a new policy where you scream unlimited power if you ban somebody? Yes. I don't know how often that's going to happen, but I promise you I will do it. If I remember. Correct. That is not Privateer Press's first Kickstarter, this Widower's Wood. They had the War Machine Tactics. Whatever happened with that? What is the Descent app? Well, you should go to my Facebook page. Is the quickest way to do it. The second post down is I talk about the new app. They announced it earlier this week, I think maybe Tuesday, the Eyes of March, which it's a companion app. You must have the physical board game to play and as many expansions as you want, but the companion app basically takes the role of the Overlord. It will determine how the monsters get moved and attack, how the traps work. It even turns the game into more of a dungeon crawler by not putting out map tiles until your party ventures forth onto them. And it's got its own scenarios. It's kind of unclear now, but I don't think you can even use the scenarios and adventures and campaign paths from the base game. You're using whatever the app gives you, but then using the physical components of the board game. And you can even plug in the expansions and just say, well, I have this, and this expansion. And the app will then use the monsters and characters and maybe terrain, that's a little unclear too, to make the new adventures. And there's already a downloadable expansion pack announced as well. And the app should be released in the next few weeks. And I'm thrilled because I would rather play the game fully cooperatively than try to play it with people as an overlord, because no one's going to sit there with me to do a campaign of it. And that's the real way to play Descent. It's one of the reasons I haven't reviewed it yet. So very excited for it. Even if it's like a $20 app, I'd still buy it. Yeah, I didn't know. Oh, Simon's doing the Bloodborne game. Now I'm sincerely interested. Thank you very much, Sue Park, for your nice comments. Are you backing Fog of Love? I'm not even sure I know what that is. Let's take a look. As I put my snot tissue over there. Sounds fun. Oh, maybe I did see this. Yeah, I don't know. It looks kind of dumb. Making a lot of money, though. I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at it later. I haven't clicked as remind me, so something about it must have caught my eye whenever I looked at it last. What was the other one? I just want to look at Bloodborne from Simon. See if they have any good pictures. What? Okay, that was not a good search term to put in. There we go. It's by Eric Lang. Is he like their house designer now? I guess so. Alright, cool. Yeah, I'm excited for it then. I've enjoyed your comments concerning superhero TV shows. What series are you following? What are the must-sees and must-avoids? Waffle on to your heart's content. Well, I won't do that too much, but as I mentioned before, I'm watching Season 2 of Daredevil and hoping that the rest of it's good. I like The Flash. Flash has been in a weak season this year, Season 2, but the first season was amazing, and I hope that this one's picking up now that Earth 2 is more involved. I really like Arrow. In fact, Arrow's last season was its worst season. This season is actually much better. Both of them are on hiatus for like a week or two. I like Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow's last 2 episodes were great. The first set of episodes was kind of mediocre. That show has really turned around. I'm excited for it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is back. I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I know people are kind of lukewarm on it, but I still dig it. Agent Carter's amazing, and it's going to get canceled. I think this was the last season for it. So lots of good stuff if you're a comic book fan now. Do you foresee any grumbling about Fantasy Flight's Descent app, speaking of the devil, those who thought the sky was falling with games and apps? No, because you can still play it with the Overlord. I don't think anyone's going to care. I think the people who want to play it that way will play it that way. The people who don't, don't. I already know some people who will refuse to play it that way, and that's fine. It doesn't affect the rest of us. Carnival Zombie 2nd Edition showed that it will now be scalable to the number of players. What are your thoughts on this? I think that's great. I'd like to see the details on that, because one of the issues I had with the first one was that you had to use every single character in every game, and therefore the game always felt the same with the number of players. I think that was a mistake. So, good. I think that's a good move. Do you see CMON offering more solo cooperative games options with their future releases? The more they can appeal, the better the sales. Maybe. I still people ask me this about Arcadia Quest in particular. I still maintain that Arcadia Quest is special because it's not cooperative. And there's other games like Masmorra which can fulfill that niche better. Masmorra having an optional cooperative mode. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I think every company who actually puts time and effort into making a solo or cooperative mode, and they play test it and it comes out okay, I think it's worth it. Why not? Give people the option. What year of Kingdom Death are you on? I am now a clean slate. I'll make this tiny announcement, and we'll see. I'm not making a promise. I'm not promising a timeline. We've all seen how that goes. I am going to record my Kingdom Death play sessions and possibly do a video series about it. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of it might just be kind of a mess. It might take too much time to process, but for now I'm a clean slate. I'm going to start. If I decide to do it, and I decide to do it realistically, I am going to do. I'm going to try to play through an entire campaign with no expansions, or maybe just a couple of the small expansions, and then if I can, and then. Do it again with putting in the big expansions like the People of the Stars campaign for the Dragon King, that type of thing. But yeah, I think if I'm going to play it, and I'm going to play it solo, which is what I would do, then I'm going to might as well film it and might as well make a video series out of it. Some people will not care about that at all, I anticipate. Some people will. So we'll see how it goes. Your storage solution for the minis. I have none. Once I put together all these miniatures from the expansions, I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. None. Try to put them on display for lack of anything else. What Gamma products interest you? Not many. Now that people have told me about Bloodborne, I guess that one does. But Pandemic Cthulhu looks great, I guess. And Mystic Veil surprised many. I'm not sure what Mystic Veil is. Let's see. I should have seen that, I suppose. Oh, it's from AEG. Not that there's anything wrong with AEG, but some of their small games are not great. Yeah, I don't know. What, just because it has great artwork? Yeah, it looks good. Sorry if I didn't clarify last Q&A, but how are you planning to explore the Lantern Festival if it's incredibly unlikely for a player to reach year 25 normally? Will you have to cheat? I don't know. I'm hoping not to, but yeah, I'm taking a very laissez-faire attitude to reviewing these expansions if I ever do, because of how much work is involved to explore the depths of them. I'll have to cover that bridge when I get to it. I bought Super Dungeon Explorer influenced by your recommendation, but am at a crossroads. I haven't assembled the pieces for fear of creating blind spots to paint, but I haven't painted them because I'm worried about the cost of painting everything. Thoughts? Love the channel. Thanks. Well, if you really are set for painting them, you should look online, find some tips, and do whatever you think is best for that. If you just want to play the game and paint, and you're kind of like having anxiety about whether you should paint them or not, I say just assemble them and play. I do feel bad that you bought that edition now. Maybe you bought it cheaply. I don't know, because the new edition of the first edition, or I'm sorry, the new edition of the base game is coming out with pre-assembled miniatures. So that would have eliminated the problem. I'm sorry, but the miniatures will be different, so you'll have different sculpts. That's cool. Oh, Bloodborne's gonna be a card game. That is weird. Why? Do you like golf? No. Not interested at all. I'm not interested in sports in general. Golf seems incredibly dull. Is there a Big Trouble in Little China Legendary coming? There is. Thoughts? Well, I don't know if it's going to be a small box game or a big expansion. If it's a big expansion, I have no idea how, because it's not going to be based off of the new franchise they're trying to start with The Rock, which I think is kind of on hold now. I think it's just based off the original movie, and how do you make an entire set out of that? I don't know. I love Big Trouble in Little China, so I'm not bashing it. I'm excited, but I just don't know how they're going to do it. Where do you see board games 5 to 10 years from now? I think that the bubble will eventually burst. Not dramatically, but I think that it will equalize, and as technology keeps progressing forward, you're going to see apps being integrated more, and people are still going to focus on video games and digital apps, and board gaming will just find a niche for itself. I think it's grown, but eventually it will kind of even out, but there has to be a ceiling, right? Because not everyone is going to play board games. What are the biggest overhyped games? I could go on and on. But there's a lot of games that are very, very popular that I'm not a big fan of, like Carcassonne and Ticket to Ride. But as far as like lately overhyped games, I love Pandemic Legacy. You can make a strong argument that that went a little overboard with people's excitement for it, for what it is. Seeing a lot of cool hellos. I saw one from Germany. I saw one from Chile. Thank you all for watching. Hello from the exotic land of Minnesota. That is mystical and magical. Hello from your bathroom. There's that Cards Against Humanity card. Mr. Clean, standing right behind you. How do you force people to play a game you really like but they'll hate? I trick them usually if I can, if they don't know anything about it, even if I know they won't like it. Or I just say, this is what we're playing, and there is no second game tonight. Suck it. Let's see. Do you think any of the Dice Tower guys voted for Trump? Probably. Or they will. What's a good game to play with my stupid friends? Stupid games. Oh, man. Magical Athlete. That'll just be my response for everything from now on. Hey Nick, great channel as always. What are your recommendations for a two-player couples gateway games? A lot of great ones out there. I mean, Lost Cities is the classic couples game, fun little card game, very abstract. Seven Wonders Duel is really setting the world on fire. I mean, it's kind of blazing up the top 100 list on Board Game Geek, and it's also, is it in the top 10 now? It's close. It's in like the top 20, and it's also selling very well on Cool Stuff, and I like it. It's fine. So I guess I'd recommend that in good conscience. If you like tactical games with a little more depth, you might consider like Summoner Wars. Is it true that you are Trump's campaign leader? What, just because I posted that picture of him riding a raptor? That's amazing. You should Google that. Do you think that Mega Man could be house ruled into a good game? Those minis and components look fantastic. Generally not a fan of house ruling, but BGG community often comes up with great tweaks. Yeah, someone mentioned doing it solo. That might work. It could be. I mean, you just have to do it faster. I don't know what to say about it. It's also the randomness, though. That's kind of what messes that game up, really. You'd have to fix the randomness and the length. And that might just be too much. It might just be like too much effort for too little reward. But yeah, the miniatures look great. I think maybe people will just buy the game and put the miniatures on their shelf. Yes, 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 I know. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Stick my head underneath the table? Have you met Rob Oren in your area? He makes great reviews of miniatures, and he is... What? I don't even know what that means. What does yoked mean? I don't know what that means. Someone explain that to me because I'm stupid. But I haven't met him in person. I have communicated with him online. He asked me something one time about being involved in like some sort of miniatures project, and I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I think he subscribes to the channel. He's a nice guy. But again, I haven't met him in person. But all of my dealings with him have been very pleasant. Mystic Veil is a deck builder? Well, now I'm more interested. Do you still own Ashes by Plaid Hat Games? I do, but it's probably on its way out. I just don't play it, ever. It's a beautiful game, solid game. I still like Summoner Wars better. I know they're different, but they're both head-to-head two-player strategic card games. So, probably on its way out, though. Have you had any interesting experiences playing with kids? No, I don't play with kids very often. When I was still going to the Cool Stuff meetups, occasionally that would happen just by random chance because there's a lot of families and kids there. When I was at Dice Tower Con, I taught... That's probably the best experience I had. When I was at Dice Tower Con, there were a few kids who... I wanted to play Looney Quest because I had it. I brought it with me to get it played there. And it's a game perfect for kids. So I don't know how it happened, but I just found like a table of kids who wanted a game to play. And I said, kids, I want to play Looney Quest. Who wants to play it with me? And it was great. They had a lot of fun, and I was happy to teach it to them. So, and they were great little gamers. Let's see. Asmodee USA gave distributors a presentation about their new pricing structure. Have you any info on this, and how will it affect board gamers in the hobby? I don't. Someone was telling me about how one of the reps from Asmodee gave an interview on, I think, the Dice Tower, and basically said, oh, you're all freaking out over nothing, and gave a really obnoxious comment, although I'd like to hear it in context to make a final judgment, but it sounded really obnoxious about how... how this is going to like screw people who are trying to order their games online. People are going to buy less of their games. And the guy was like, well, personally, I would rather they buy maybe just a couple of our games per year and actually play them rather than buying 10 games and they just gather dust in the closet. And first and foremost, you don't make that decision for us. You shouldn't be making that decision for us. Maybe we want to buy a ton of games. Why would you impede that choice? If we want to do it, let us do it. Secondly, how do you run a business that way? Oh yeah, you shouldn't buy that much of our product. Just buy a little bit of our product each year. Even if the guy was joking, that is so retarded. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be offensive to differently abled people, but as an insult, I'd have to say that's pretty retarded. And I like Asmodee, by the way. I was on their reviewers list until the shakeup. I think I kind of still am. And I love their product. But I have to shake my head at some of the nonsense that's going on. More people complaining about the time change. I finally got the DC deck building game and I love it. But seeing the expansions big and small, excuse me. But seeing the expansions big and small, it seems that they are really starting to struggle to keep it new. If Cryptozoic was to ask your opinion, what would you recommend for them to do to rejuvenate the game? I don't know. This might be it. Because they tried to do a cooperative experience, which would have set the whole world on fire. And I'm sure some people love it. I thought it was a disaster, for the most part. And so that didn't work. And the whole system is just kind of... I mean, look, it only ever was an Ascension clone. They can do some of the things that Ascension's been doing, although Ascension's been kind of playing catch-up with them. Like, hey, now you can actually play as a character, that type of thing. So, I don't know. That might just be it. Although I'm curious to see what they do with the Attack on Titan deck builder. What's wrong with Fantasy Flight? They made an XCOM game based around the management rather than the combat. I can see that argument. I think a lot of people were surprised by that it wasn't like a squad-based tactical miniatures game. But they wanted to try something different, and I actually appreciate that. I don't think it's great. Yoked means jacked or buff. Oh, that's right. He's a pretty muscular dude. Ha! I've never heard that expression before. Yoked. Because yoked means like you yoke an oxen. So I'm like, oh, is he tied down? I mean, are they making an insult with the dice tower? I didn't know. So that's funny. But yeah, he's a buff guy. But anyways, back to XCOM. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciated what they went for. I didn't love the game. I liked it. I don't have it in my collection anymore, but I thought it was pretty good. If we can't get questions answered here, what are alternate non Facebook options? Thanks. Sorry, guys. What are alternate options from Facebook? Twitter? You can ask me on Twitter. But it'd probably be better for you to just wait for the next Q&A and then ask it ahead of time. And then I'll make sure to get to it in order if it doesn't get eaten. The Asmodee rep... Okay, you didn't finish your sentence. The Asmodee rep wasn't joking. He repeated that statement in a BGG video. Wow. Oh, look at that. Maybe I scared so many people off from my snortling and sneezing that they fled, and I have no more questions. Are you a fan of mecha anime? Sure. I've watched quite a few in my time, starting with the Gundam, Evangelion, although Evangelion is like the anti-mecha anime. What else do I like? I liked quite a few. Code Geass has a lot of mecha in it. Escaflowne is like fantasy medieval mecha. Best intro to anime. I trust your game and TV recommendations, and I am a Sandra supporter. Awesome. But I haven't really found an anime series I love. What do you think is a good entry point? Well, you can check out my top 10 anime, which no one watches. It's called Optional Variants, Episode 1, Top 10 Anime Series, which is a great entry point because I will really stand by a lot of those as gateway anime, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Death Note, Code Geass. That's right. There's actually a Kickstarter going on right now by Funimation. I don't know why they're doing a Kickstarter all of a sudden to do a new remastered version of and redubbed for whatever that's worth version of Escaflowne, and I recommend that highly as well. So, yeah, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I really think my top 10 list is a great series of gateway anime. When are we going to get a Laser Shark expansion to Abyss? That sounds more like a Smash Up expansion, actually. Hey, Nick, it seems like Prophecy of Dragons is getting some non-love. I haven't played it yet, but it seems like it can definitely be better than the Marcy case. I don't know. I don't watch other people's reviews, if you're referring to like official video reviews and written reviews and things. So, I don't know, but I loved it. I mean, it's a huge expansive expansion for Time Stories compared to the other two. And I think it really opens up the game in a lot of new ways. If people don't like the fantasy theme or they don't like how long it is, I guess I can understand that, but I think it's solid. I think it's the best of the three. It's the best of the three movies. Sorry. That's a deep cut reference. Any advice to someone thinking about getting into Dice Masters? It seems like it could be a money sink similar to CCGs. It's definitely a money sink. It's hard to get now because you can only buy the boosters from stores, from physical brick and mortar stores. You can buy the starter sets and the collector's boxes and dice bags and crap online, which is really, I think, killing that game. You can't even buy singles from cool stuff anymore unless they have their old stock still there. So I don't know. I'm personally thinking of getting out of it altogether and getting rid of my collection because I don't play it ever. And like you said, it's a money sink and time to get while the getting's good. I'm new to board games. I just bought Cthulhu Wars. Was that a mistake? Well, it's not a mistake if you like the game. If you really like Cthulhu, if you like the Lovecraft mythos, and yes, of course, all of these games that are based off of Cthulhu are not like really based on the Cthulhu mythos. They've kind of gone into an Indiana Jones type direction. Cthulhu Wars is much more, but Cthulhu Wars is like, my point with that, people really slammed me for this, like, oh, what a terrible review. Even though I said the game was fine and actually kind of good, it just didn't replace Chaos and Your Role for me. So I felt that to be superior. However, I don't think that that makes Cthulhu Wars a bad game. It just wasn't quite for me compared to my other options. So it's not necessarily a mistake. If you play it and enjoy it, you obviously did not make a mistake at all. And I will vouch for the miniatures. The miniatures are great. Have you seen the Cthulhu deck building game on Kickstarter? It has been funded, and hello from the UK. I think I know which one you're referring to, and hello from the United States. It didn't interest me. Do you think the T.I.M.E Stories will release a big box with all the expansions, or at least the current expansions? I could see that. That's actually not a bad idea. They could release like year one expansion type of thing. That's not a bad idea. Give it a small discount, and I don't think people would complain too much because it's the benefit of going firsties, I suppose. You know. Excuse me. All right, got 9 minutes left. I'm going to try to end on time today. I'm kind of caught up with questions anyways. Let's see. Where do you rate... Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm back. I skipped one. I'm sorry. Do you listen to podcasts that are not about board games? I only listen to podcasts that are not about board games. I don't listen to any board gaming podcasts anymore. So I listen to Cracked. I listen to How Did This Get Made? Probably my two favorites. Do you think Times... already answered that. I skipped ahead. What was your favorite movie as a kid? Wow. What movie did I watch the most? Probably Transformers, the movie. I watched the hell out of that movie. Why are you doing a Quadropolis review? I will. I like Days of Wonder and their games, but I will probably have to wait for it and buy it with everyone else, like a plebeian. Goonies or The Breakfast Club? Well, Goonies, but I wasn't a huge Goonies fan either. Shadows of the Multiverse sucked for me for 2 players because we're both noobs to it. I blame you! Okay. Box says for 2 players, but Inbox says for 2 advanced players. Yeah, it has a problem with 2 players. I'll admit that, but I don't think I told you to buy it based on a 2-player recommendation. Did I say that? I don't think so. I played it with 2 players, and it's just okay. But you should look around on Board Game Geek, because I think some people have worked on that and improved it with house rules. Might be worth it for you. What do you think of the new Naruto game that was announced? I'll tell you when my advanced review copy comes in. Haha. I do get some games early. Hey, Nick, what's your most played card game right now? My most played card game, I mean, really, it's Love Letter, because I played that a bajillion times. After that, probably the DC Deck Builder. No, I probably played Legendary more than that. So I haven't jumped the shark completely. Have you seen the anime Hataraku Mao-sama, or The Devil is a Part-Timer? Great fun. No, but I don't often respond well to comedy or, cutesy anime of lately anyways, so I'm kind of suspicious of those. What was the last game you played for fun, not for reviewing? Kingdom Death. Just in case you didn't know, you are beautifully handsome. Elizabeth, you are overwhelmingly nice, and you are very, very kind to say that. So thank you very much. It warms the cockles of my heart. I heard that T.I.M.E Stories has a hidden story arc that is hidden within the main and current expansions. Without spoilers, do you think that this is accurate? Yes-ish. It's not what you're thinking, though. You didn't mention that issue. I don't know what you're talking about. Hold on a second. Are you referring to a previous question of yours? Oh. Yeah, okay. It's possible at the time I did my initial Sons of the Multiverse review, I hadn't even played it with 2 players yet. So, I'm sorry. But as a cooperative game, I don't know. I guess maybe I thought it would be self-evident because everyone's got to have a hand of cards and you have to play with more than 2 heroes, I think. Isn't that how it works? Something like that. Let's see. Have you got hooked on any digital board games? I was hooked on Ascension for a while, but it's kind of a dumb app. It was like, something to play in the bathroom, to be brutally honest. But now Magic Puzzle Quest is what I'm addicted to. Have you played Steam Time? I think it has flown under the radar. Very fun game. I own it. I haven't played it yet. I'm very sorry about that. It was actually sent to me for review. Oops. Democracy Now! Is a fantastic news podcast, not corporately owned. Majority Report is also good and more fun. I'll have to check that out. Right now, I'm getting my political fix from the Young Turks. The Young Turks are a YouTube channel. You can become a member and watch a lot of their stuff, but you can still watch their stuff on YouTube as well. And they also, I think they have a podcast, although I haven't listened to that yet. And I don't know if it's just the audio of the videos, so I'm not sure about that. But the Young Turks are amazing. They're obviously they are uber progressive. They wear it right on their sleeve that we are the most progressive news outlet out there. They're huge. They have like one of the biggest viewerships of any news outlet online, bigger than any of the major networks that have an online presence. And they're honest and truthful. I mean, they'll tell you straight up. They're not a shill for anybody, and it's just great. It's so great, and they're fun and funny. They're funny and entertaining people. If it wasn't entertaining, if it was just all constantly doom and gloom, I wouldn't be as into it. By the way, look at my cute shirt. Don't you like my shirt? I like this. I bought it on a whim, and I didn't think I'd like it that much, but I love it. Thinking about getting Tragedy Looper. Have you played it? And if so, what's your opinion? I have. You can watch my review of both editions of the game, the Japanese edition and the English edition. I think it's very fun. It's a very dense and tough to get into game, so be aware of that. The rules are kind of atrocious, but if you can get through it, it's worth it. Have you tried Space Hero Memoir 40K yet? No. I'll have to look that up. And yes, Jimmy Dore from the Young Turks is he's amazing, but not always in the best of ways, but he's pretty amazing. As usual, I've had nothing to do as a mod. Yeah, sometimes I just take precautions, but thank you anyways, Chris. I hope you wielded your power well. Chris, if you're bored, ban me. Don't ever let him back. I was thinking that's a very Sushi Go shirt. Yes, they should just officially sell these. Have you seen the game War Tile? It's a tactics-like miniatures game for PC. The different levels or styles look like large miniatures tables. No, I'll have to look into that too. Alright, I shouldn't be doing that. Okay, I'm caught up on questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and end it here. We're a few minutes early, which never happens. We're usually way late. But my nose is running and I'm gross. And listen, everyone, thank you so much for putting up with that. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for watching. I swear this is the best part of my week usually. And especially this week, this is one of the best parts of my week because this was a really atrocious week. So thank you so much. I don't do my own cooking. I'll answer that last question. And I have no recipes. Sorry. Take out for me. But thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. And hey, have a fantastic week. I will see you next Saturday. Take care.